everyone. Welcome to Influence Podcasts. I'm your host for today, Elizabeth Siano. Today we'll be hosting a very seasoned PR professional. I am excited about this conversation. She has over 10 years of experience. I mean, if you're just starting out your career, you know that over 10 years is not a joke. And our guest for today is Miss Anne Kuria. Anne, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Elizabeth. You look lovely today.
Thank you.
And it's good to be here. And I've been looking forward to this conversation. And I think it's about time that we had it.
Yeah, I think so. So for those who have joined us today, we're going to be discussing the evolving world of PR. You know, PR from it has always been in existence, but it has consistently and constantly evolved over the years. And we're excited to know how Anne even started out and how she can compare how she started out before and how it's going on for her right now. So we can just dive in. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Awesome.
And proceed.
Yeah, so Anne, I'd like to know, even before now we get into the actual questions, I'd like to know, how did you find yourself in PR?
So I've always been drawn into PR as a young girl. I remember thinking I would end up in journalism, reading newspapers for my parents. But then I think I became more drawn into PR because of the perfect blend of creativity, strategy, and humanity. I love storytelling. In fact, as I was growing up, you couldn't shut me up, even during news time. It was a big problem for my parents. So I just learned how to use storytelling to craft stories that can inspire and build relationships for brands, create impact, develop trust from target audiences, and eventually inspire, impact, and create influence. So, but I think for me, the deal breaker into PR is when I realized that I could actually use PR to drive impact, like real-time impact, whether it's helping organization through crises or whether it's just amplifying voices for causes that help humanity.
Yeah.
And I think that's how I found myself into PR.
When did you discover all this? Because I know some people know from when they're little children that I want to be a doctor, I'd like to be a lawyer. I mean, these careers that were glorified from before. So I personally never heard of PR until I think I got to university. So at what point did you know that you want to make change or you want to make a big impact through PR?
So as I grew up, I understood the word communications. I knew there was communications, and like I said, I knew there was journalism.
Yeah.
And I also knew that there's storytelling, but I couldn't fit it into where it belonged. So as I went into college is when now I diversified. And when I did communications is when I discovered that there are so many types of communications. And I opted to take PR, public relations, at that particular point.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So now I think we can. So how would you say that PR has evolved over the last over just this period? How has PR evolved?
PR has been evolving, and I know it will continue evolving because if you look at traditional ways of doing PR, we are talking of print, we are talking of radio, we are talking of TV, and we are talking of press releases and statements as the only tools of sending out communications to media. So PR has evolved from using a flash disk and everything to now coming into the digital era where we're using digital tools.
Wait, when you started, we were using
floppy disks.
Floppy. I don't even know what that is.
You would cover an event and get footage and put it in a floppy disk. I know, Liz, you don't know what a floppy disk is.
I know.
I've
seen it in textbooks, but an actual floppy disk, I wouldn't even know how to operate it.
I think I'm going to look for one and I'll bring it for you.
Wait, is it the one you see when we're using our laptops, when you're using Word or something, the save, does it look like the save icon?
It looks like the save icon.
But now in real
life, it looks like that. So from using our floppy disk to using CDs to you having to drop them into media houses and kind of go collect them back because flash disks were expensive, to now having digital landscape where it's real time, like I could be anywhere and I could push that news globally from me being seated here. So the difference is quite huge. I like what's happening in the industry. Our work is now a bit more easier because we're able to reach much more numbers. We are able to have real-time conversations with our audiences.
Yeah.
And we're able to tailor-make from the data and then analytics we get from these digital tools. We're able to make our campaigns better and more targeted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I'd like to know, as much as we know that PR has evolved over these last years, but I know one, we can say the period that also marked a great change for all of us worldwide is the COVID
Yeah.
19 pandemic. So, how would you say that that catalyzed the whole evolving? Because I know maybe we didn't know that we can use so many tools,
Yeah.
but COVID 19 just showed us that, you know what, we can connect anywhere in the world. So, how did PR change during that short, well, not short period, but during that,
That time of
yeah,
COVID 19.
yeah,
So, what happened in COVID 19? I think all of us were caught off guard and
yeah,
we had to think quick
terribly.
and innovate.
Yeah.
And we were used to calling media for press briefings, for press
Yes.
conferences. And now we had to think of how we can do that virtually.
Mm-hmm.
And now we found ourselves doing hybrid press conferences,
Yeah.
utilizing things as webinars, utilizing other tools as blogs, and social media became highly used by corporates during COVID-19.
Yeah.
So a lot of tools that were there, but we were still kind of stuck in the traditional media.
Yes.
And of course, clients were also not very convinced about this digital, apart from
Yes.
the ones that are quite, there are those clients that are quite
Open-minded,
dynamic and open-minded.
yeah.
So we had, and I can say that some of our clients here at Newmark are very open-minded and dynamic. They were easily, they easily adapted, and they were
Yes.
easily ready to move on at the speed of digital when COVID happened.
Yeah.
So COVID was a game changer for everyone. We discovered that now we can't go for interviews, live interviews at TV stations, but we discovered you could record that interview and have it live,
Anywhere.
whether it's on CNN or whether
Yes.
it's on BBC. You could actually shoot it from here, and it could still be aired on BBC.
From the comfort of your
From the
own
comfort
home.
of your home.
That was really
Yeah,
nice.
yeah,
That was really
yeah.
nice. But I know maybe we'll dive into this a bit later, but I'd like to find out, you see, like you said, some clients are very open-minded and
Yeah.
they're easily flexible. Like they know change is constant. But there are those who are very rigid. So how do you think that this change affected them, especially when we were forced, you just have to be digital, you have no other option? How do you think these clients were affected?
So what I would say about what I think about clients that are very rigid, but like we have some industries that move very slowly and
Yeah.
they don't accept change. When change comes, first they want to observe and see what the likes of the big boys will do, and then
Yeah.
what I know about people who did not innovate or take up the skills, some of them probably don't even exist today.
Yeah.
Others, the visibility is really poor, that nobody knows whether you're in the market, and so your products or services
Yes.
are not getting bought because everyone is online. In fact, I was looking at some numbers about the global internet
Yeah.
users. We are now at 5.18 billion.
Are you serious?
Which is the equivalent of 66.2% of the world
Whoa.
population.
Yeah.
So if you're still stuck in the past and you're rigid, you don't want to change, it means you're not targeting your audience.
Yes.
Yes, you're communicating, but your communication is not reaching the target audience it's supposed to
Yeah.
reach. Because if you're relying on digital, on traditional media, for example, newspapers alone, without bringing in the digital,
Yeah.
then it means you have a very small audience. And also
Exactly.
your audience is very general, because traditional media presents a very general audience.
Yeah.
It cannot be compared to digital, which is quite targeted.
I personally can't remember the last time I actually held a newspaper. So I'm just thinking that as a young person, my if I'm to buy anything, or if I'm to choose any person to provide a particular service, the first thing I literally do is go on social media. So what are your reviews? Or how do you post? Do people follow your page? So I know this is credible, this is not credible. So that's how us young people now, we've changed our, like, if it's not approved online, we don't like it. So I understand now what you're saying for these industries that have refused to change, how we can't see them. I cannot now start saying that I'm going to read a newspaper to check, okay, now this is a nice product,
Yeah.
or this is a nice thing to have. It just doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, you have a point there. In fact, I like what you've mentioned, influencer marketing,
Yes.
which is one of the best tools we have right now, because the current audience is very aware because of the
Yes.
digital age. They all
Woke.
have,
We
they
say
are
woke.
woke in
Yeah.
quotes. Huh? They have
Awake.
access to the internet,
Yeah.
and basically they are on their phones almost
All the
probably even 20
time.
hours out of
Oh, I
24 hours.
mean,
What does that tell you? That tell you that
yeah.
one thing, if you have to get them, you must get into that gadget they're
Mm-hmm.
holding. And how will you get into that gadget they're holding? You will have to be on the social media, that is X, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn,
Yeah.
and the rest. Now, you say that before you buy something, you have to check for
I
reviews.
have to.
Personally, before I buy something, it might not necessarily be an influencer that is online, but if you come to me, Liz, and you tell me that I bought this lotion and I like it, it's working for my skin, I'm likely to buy that rather than reading
Yeah.
about that or just seeing that thing on a billboard. I'm likely
Yeah.
to hear from a person who has used it, and I'm likely to buy. And that shows you how dynamic PR has become. So this woke generation is aware
Yeah.
of what they want and is also aware of how they want you to communicate to them.
Yes.
So if you decide that traditional media is the only way that you're going to do PR, then you will not achieve the objectives that you're supposed to achieve for
Yeah.
that particular communication.
So I know we're deviating a bit, but I'd like to know what role have influencers played in all this? Not just in. I mean, for us, it's more of which product are you using, but now in PR, what role have influencers played?
I think I will say that influencers have played a very big role, just like the other tools like social media. The fact that you are creating something and you're providing a platform for engagement
Yeah.
where people can ask questions, it's basically a two-way conversation
Yes.
where I can come and say I used a bottle of this lotion and these are the results, and people are there able to engage with you and ask you, how did you use it, how many times did you use it?
Yeah.
So it's basically like the brand is now talking to the people, like directly. It's like giving a chance to that brand to talk to the people. So engagement is there, real-time engagement.
Yeah.
People are able to leave their comments. You can even actually see the conversion because this is translating into the number of pieces that
Yeah.
you're selling.
It's true.
So influencer marketing is, I think it's a good, brands have embraced that, and most brands right now have influencers. So it's a good thing. I would say it's a very good thing.
It is.
Yeah.
Because I'm just thinking, well, I'm still on the influencer marketing. I just saw, well, I didn't, just a few, I think, months or last year, one of these celebrities, I think Kim Kardashian, she posted, she was promoting some brand for vegan food,
Yeah.
but the controversy was she didn't eat anything.
Oh.
So it's like, you are promoting this product, but am I supposed to actually eat it if you're not eating it? That's what people are saying, that she kept on shooting, but she's not eating.
I think that brings at play the role of micro and macro influencers.
Okay,
I'm one of the people who is likely to be influenced more by a micro influencer than the macro, and the big ones, the huge ones that have huge following. I
Yeah.
think that is the likes of Kim Kardashian.
Kim Kardashian has millions
Yes, they're just
watching
being
her.
paid. They have a
Yeah.
number of followers, so they're just being paid
Yeah.
to influence people. But this small one who doesn't, who is not even being paid a lot of money,
Yeah.
this small, the micro one is likely to use that product and give honest reviews. And so when you're tailor making your campaigns and choosing the kind of influencers you want, you have to know the goals you want from those influencers. Do you want to create awareness,
Yeah.
or do you want to drive sales? If you want to create awareness, go for the likes of Kim Kardashian.
Yes.
But if you want uptake, you might want to go to the micro ones that have
Wow.
a small following,
Wow, okay.
that they influence honestly and genuinely.
This is actually
Yeah,
nice.
yeah.
Yeah. I've never thought about it like that. So that's what I'll be looking out for. Okay, but moving along. So what metrics are now being used to measure PR success in the digital landscape?
Okay, so for the metrics, we have several. We have social listening skills, whereby you look at the engagement you're getting from the content that you're creating.
Yeah.
You look at the number of likes you're getting, probably the comments, the conversion. You can see, like like I said, the numbers will never lie.
Numbers never
Yeah,
lie.
so we have that. We also have Google Analytics. This is a
Yes.
bit more serious. It gives you the numbers on now the conversion rates, the reach, and all that. So once you have the tools, it's actually easier to measure PR value
Yeah.
with the digital era than it was during traditional media, because traditionally you'd have to look for the media mentions that you got.
Yeah.
For the reach, you'd have to know if how many KTN reaches how many people in Kenya or within East
Yes.
Africa. And then there's something we used to call the PR value, which was 5 times advertising value. That means if you get a quarter of a page, you have to look at the equivalent of that in advertising value, and then you multiply that by 5.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then we are moving on. Well, apart from that, in PR nowadays, we have many other ways of measuring PR, but I think digital is quite, it's very, you can touch the numbers.
Yes.
Numbers don't lie.
Yes.
And that's how digital has beaten tradition in terms of actually getting to measure
Yeah.
PR value.
And I know that you've said that numbers don't lie, but what if, well, in some instances, we can tell that this particular brand is not as, it's not as liked, but it still has the numbers. So I can give some few examples, but I won't. But let's say if this brand has been involved in so many controversies,
Yeah.
or in so many issues with even mistreating their workers, or just some shady ways of even getting the product out. So would you say that if this page, or if this particular brand has a following, that it's still a following, whether it's good or bad? I mean, even bad press, you guys say that bad press is still, I don't know.
People say that bad PR or bad press is still good.
Yeah.
But in terms of if you're having problems and you're in crisis all the times,
Yeah.
and you're not solving that crisis, eventually this will start reflecting on your business.
Okay.
Whether you have the numbers or not, you could be having the numbers, but they're not purchasing, or they don't like you. So
Okay,
bad
yes,
reputation
true.
is bad for business, because when
Yeah.
you don't have a good reputation, you don't have the goodwill of the people.
Yeah.
And we saw that during the Gen Z protest, when they were trying to have celebrities take a side.
Yeah.
And if one of your product was being influenced by those celebrities, they were telling them that they're not buying. That tells you the power of reputation and goodwill.
That's bullying.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's bullying, yes, but it
It
tells you
is.
if you associate
Yeah.
your product with a person who
Yes.
is not considered to be a good person,
Yes.
then your product will suffer, and eventually that one will start reflecting on the sales.
Yeah.
But goodwill and reputation is key. It's very important, because I know a lot of people overlook PR, but I like to tell my clients that PR is like when you're doing interior design. When people are constructing, most of the people wait to finish and then call an interior designer.
Yeah.
But an interior designer should be involved from the word go. So if you're coming up with the company's mission,
Yes.
vision, strategy, objectives, you should involve the communication people from.
From the onset.
Yes, because
don't
you're
wait.
you're going to need the goodwill
Yeah.
of the people. You're going to need trust from the target audience for your
Yeah.
business to grow. So it's basically, communication is a pillar of business. You see, the way you look at finance, the way
Yes.
you look at operations, things you can't do as an organization. It's the same way that clients, or it's the same way that organizations should start looking at PR.
Yeah.
Because it needs to start from the word go. It should not be like, now when we have moved a bit, now we have a bit of customers, now we need to
Yeah.
bring in PR. It should be done from the word go, because bad reputation is bad for business.
It is.
Bad reputation is so bad for business that you could wake up one day and something was trending and you didn't handle, and the next day the share price at the NSC or at any other
just
stock market,
plummets.
it plummets.
Yeah.
And a good example that I like to give is the one of Elon Musk. There's a time he was being hosted by this podcaster. I don't know if I can remember his name, and he actually smoked weed.
The podcaster.
Him,
Elon Musk. Oh, wow,
smoked weed
okay.
during the interview, and
Yeah.
this affected almost everything, including the share price of. He lost the trust of the shareholders,
Yeah.
and by the next day, the prices were plummeting.
Yeah.
So reputation is key.
So in such a situation, you're a PR professional. So how would you fix his image, or Tesla's, or any company that he owns? So how would you fix that image?
So I won't necessarily go into saying how I'd fixed Elon Musk's situation, but for PR and for any client, having a crisis communication plan in place
Yes.
before the crisis happens is key. Because the way crises are made to happen, they don't give warnings.
Yes,
They just
exactly.
happen. You just find yourself in problem.
Yeah.
And if you don't have a crisis plan, that has been prepared and people are media trained and the
Yeah.
right spokespersons appointed and the right teams briefed on how to work in case of a
Yeah.
crisis, then it means that can affect your business in any way. And talking of crisis communication, now with the digital media, it becoming a bit, you need your the people you select, the team or the spokesperson or the team that needs to handle the crisis
Yeah.
needs to be very dynamic and agile, because now crisis is breaking on the internet.
Yes.
So the team must also be ready.
And you can't control
Yeah,
the
you
internet.
can't wait until
Once
morning.
it goes on X.
Exactly, you have to
The whole
engage.
country, yeah.
The good thing about social media and digital media, you have a chance to actually engage the audience online and address any queries, issue your statements, follow it up, create the right team to address the issue and keep giving updates. Unlike the traditional media where if it was in the newspaper today, you had to wait for the next newspaper in the morning for you to issue your statements.
Yes.
So I think it's a good time, and it's a good time for clients now that they have the digital tools.
Yeah.
That means that also crisis is spreading faster, but it's also a good thing because it also gives us a chance to handle that crisis in real time without having to wait for the next morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a good team matters, because
Yeah.
I can imagine that your company is in a crisis,
Yeah.
and then you have this, let's say, a social media manager. They just go and post something, but it's just ticks it pisses off the people even more.
Exactly.
So
And
you're dealing with a crisis on a crisis.
yes. And that's why the training and the preparations, always being ready for crisis,
Yes.
is necessary. That's why we come in as PR experts and tell you that we need to sit down
Yeah.
and craft a strategy for any time we could be in crisis. And also the good thing about social media nowadays, you are able to tell when a crisis is about to happen. You can predict,
You can.
depending on how the audience is reacting,
Yes.
the sentiments, how people are reacting to engagement.
Yeah.
You can actually tell that if this continues,
Yeah.
we're going to get somewhere and we can't turn back. So
Yeah.
we come in as PR professionals to tell you and to help you craft a crisis comms plan. We come in to train your spokesperson on how to react and engage during the crisis.
Yeah.
When the crisis is live and it's happening, we also come in to help you understand how social media should be handled during a crisis, and that you just can't pick any social media manager to handle a
Yes.
crisis. They also have to be pre-trained
Yes.
before the crisis.
And it's, hey, because I'm just thinking, now that we're on this topic,
Yeah.
sometimes when you see a crisis is about to happen, even with the Gen Z protest, we
Yeah.
could see that something would be posted. But then when you go to the comment section, you're not sure, is it going my way or is it going their way? And like I said, it's bullying basically, because now
Yeah.
you have to yield to this group of people. But if you yield to this group of people, you're also not pleasing another group of
Yeah.
people. So I personally, I
So the
wouldn't.
power of PR in that
Yeah.
is anytime you find the audience is going, they're saying the things you don't want to
Yeah.
hear, you have a chance to shape the narrative and to shape the perception. You have a chance to use the right messaging
Yes.
to engage them. The secret is not to read and retreat. The secret is to read what they're saying, come back, strategize, and get a way of engaging this audience, because they're not going to go away because you're quiet.
Exactly.
You'll have to handle
They'll
it.
even get angrier.
They'll even get angrier.
It's like you're
And
we have
more
an issue
trouble
and you're
for you.
we
In
have an
fact,
issue, you're ignoring us.
Yes, so they make it more worse than
Yeah.
it was, yeah.
Oh,
So the
man.
secret is to strategize like a communication professional.
Yeah.
Agree on the right messaging that can be used to shape perceptions or to just build your brand's reputation
Yeah.
over the time. Reputation building is not a 1 day or 1 week's event. It's something that takes time. Sometimes it takes years to create the reputation that
And
you
you have
want.
to be patient.
But you have to start. You have
Either
to be-
way.
Yeah, either way you have
Oh,
to
God.
start. Yeah.
I don't know. I think this leads us to our next questions. What's the difference between reactive and proactive PR strategies?
Okay, so if I may define that by just comparing traditional media and digital media, like I said, traditional media was more reactive.
Yeah.
Was more of we wait for something to happen. The journalist takes a call, calls the CEO, asks what is your take on this. We write the statement.
The CEO doesn't pick
Yes, if the
sometimes.
CEO doesn't pick, they'll still go ahead and publish
Yeah.
without your voice, which is very dangerous because
Yeah.
then again, that is biased.
It's
So you
true.
have not given them
Yeah.
your take on the matter. But with digital media, it's very proactive, because like right now you're seeing brands are able to generate authentic content. You
Yes.
shape the perception slowly. You're taking the audience where you want them to go.
Yeah.
You give them your story and you're able to get their trust, and eventually you're able to inspire them and actually influence them. So social media gives us time to actually build our brands, build
Yeah.
our reputation proactively. And even in, like I had said, in crisis, you are able to tell where I'm headed.
Yes.
You're able to tell, like,
To
now this
engage,
guy is,
like,
through the
yeah.
engagement, you can see where you're headed.
Yeah.
And you're able to identify that problem and address it from that engagement.
Yeah.
So it's actually more proactive right now than it was in the past. Yeah.
Or are you forced to be proactive? Because you're all involved in your career at this point.
Maybe we are being forced to be
I
proactive,
think
but it's
so.
working, which is a
Yeah.
good thing. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, I know young people and
They're demanding and they know their
Yeah,
rights.
they know their rights,
Yeah.
and it's like you have to do this now at my time. It doesn't matter whether
You
you
can't be
had
a quiet
prepared.
brand in this era. You
Yeah.
just have to talk, create your stories before they
Yes.
create stories about you.
Yeah.
Shape their perceptions. Let them
Yes.
know who you are and what you stand for as a brand.
Yeah.
Because you have the platforms are there. And this is basically easy because with content generation, which is at the center of now the digital space,
Yes.
you're able to create your own content and send it out there.
Okay, so on content, why is content distribution just as important as content creation?
Content distribution is as important as content creation because you have to identify where your target audience is.
Yeah.
Number two, you have to know the objective of this content.
Yes.
What do you want to achieve from this content, or do you just want to post? I know I've seen brands that just wake up and post things on social media just to post that, just so that somebody said on Monday I posted,
Yeah.
on Tuesday I posted. But you have to know the goals of the content you're creating. What objectives do you want to achieve from this content?
Yeah.
Where is my target audience? First of all, you have to even define that target audience and the kind of language they like.
Yes.
Do you have to localize the content into one of our local languages like Kiswahili or Sheng? You've seen a lot of billboards from top players in the industry of telecommunications. Sometimes they use Sheng to push their content.
Yes.
So you also have to identify the channels on where to get them. So you could be doing a very nice campaign about Gen Z and posting all over without knowing where to get them. If you look at how the Gen Z protests were led, you could tell that the people who were pushing that the protest already knew where to get the Gen Zs.
Yes.
And TikTok was one of the platform, and the Twitter
And X,
that were leading. X. So content placement is very key because if you don't know the channels that where your audience hangs around, then again you're just making noise because you're creating the contents, you're pushing it out, but it's not reaching the targeted audience. So it's important, just like content creation is.
Yeah, and I think that what you said about using like the language, it also has to be very strategic.
Yes.
How are these people talking? Which kind of language are this group of people speaking? Because I find it hard to understand Gen Z slang. It's not that I'm not, but I'm just like, what everything has to end. It's giving this, it's giving this. I even saw a brand, they did an ad using Gen Z slang. And the comment section, people are so excited, like, oh, this woman is so old, but she has executed it properly.
Yeah.
And it's not even a brand that maybe young people would go to, but because it was trending, they were so excited. Like the woman kept on, everything she finishes with, it's giving this. And this was so nice.
Interesting because I know, like, you would think that Gen Zs don't have the purchasing power.
Yes.
You would think it's their parents that have the money.
Yeah.
But remember, these kids influence their parents.
Exactly.
In fact, their parents rarely buy them anything before they ask for their opinion. Or they'll probably just see a nice phone and tell Mom, I think you should get this phone.
Yes.
So they're very powerful when it comes to decision making, when it comes to spending.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
my mom also does the same thing. Before she buys something, she'll just ask me, "What do you think
Exactly.
about
Yeah.
this?" Because
Yeah.
she doesn't know. Maybe it's a something, a skincare product, and I know that this brand, I don't like it, so don't buy that one. Buy this
Yeah.
other one that I like.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
we can influence the people who have the money,
Yeah.
or we can even. But Gen Z also, I mean, we are also very, we are also very. We use money well,
Yeah.
and we know what to buy and
Yeah.
at what
And
point
what
to
not to
buy.
buy.
So I think I like it. I like this conversation and how it's flowing, because I can just imagine all my mind when you're just talking about PR. I'm just thinking the influence of social
Yeah.
media. I can even right now, my mind can just let me go on Instagram and I'll see someone who has posted something that has annoyed this group, but then
Yeah.
another brand has posted something that has excited this other group. It's amazing. It's
Yeah.
just amazing. So how would you say that data has changed? Data has changed over the years. How has data changed PR strategies?
So data has also been a very a key player in all these digital landscape
Yeah.
changes, because now with data as PR professionals, we are able to measure sentiments. We are able to use data driven strategies.
Yeah.
And we're also, from the measurements that we get from this data, we're able to even craft better PR campaigns and more targeted,
Yes.
because we are able now to analyze and see that this our campaign was able to reach, it went more to men than women
Yes.
of this age than this age. So with data, we are able to custom make and create more targeted campaigns. And we're also able to measure. And remember, with measurement, we're able to even show our clients return
Yeah.
for investment. You know, back then you could just tell them it's working, it's working. Now we have the
By the
numbers.
time you realize it, you've
Exactly.
seen you've lost a lot of money, but it was working. I mean,
So now we come with our numbers. We show you when we boosted this post or this thought leadership article
Yeah.
that we post on LinkedIn. It had this number of viewers, this number of people engaged with it, these few people liked it, and now that shows the client they are getting return on
Yes.
investments on their money. So data is key in all these digital landscape changes.
it increases the
Yeah,
confidence, and it
yes.
helps also plan. Like this is before you even execute.
Even we are
Yeah.
talking of data driven strategies.
Yes.
Even before you now generate a strategies, you have to have insights, you have to
Yes.
do research.
That's the importance of
exactly. And
an
those,
insights
yes, and
practice
that
area.
research now is what guides the strategy
Yes.
that you're going to create for your client. So without the insights, without data right now,
Yeah.
and you're talking of strategy, you'd be lying to yourself. There's no strategy that is not data driven right now in our field.
So I think you can't just do something based on your gut
No,
feeling.
no,
You
no,
have
no,
to
no.
actually
You
have
to-
data.
Exactly, exactly.
And so as we're about to finish, but I'm really enjoying the conversation.
Me too.
How would you say the modern PR has integrated into other disciplines?
The way I look at it is, unlike in the past again, right now you can't just do traditional PR. You have to bring in a bit of advertising.
Yes.
Because we are talking of paid content. You could be posting on LinkedIn, but you're not reaching everyone.
Yeah.
So you have to integrate advertising and marketing, all of them, for them to work together. In terms of advertising is when, like, now you're boosting. Normally you find you're posting your content organically, but now there's need to even use money for paid ads
Yes.
to reach wider audiences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And reaching out, while you're talking, I just remembered I was looking for a product. I think this brand that I wanted, they didn't have. So I just searched on Google. Do you know what happened when I mean, you of course know what happened when I
What
got on
happened?
Instagram. The number of posts about the similar product. I mean, I think Facebook, Meta, they have just said that this is what they do. But you get on Instagram, and I could just see this post, this post, this post. But the ones that caught my attention were the ones that were boosted.
Exactly.
Like, you can just go to this one, just go to this page and buy it. And I eventually ended up buying it. So
It shows you how we have to combine
Yes.
all of them together for them to work for good.
yeah, and
Yeah.
TV, TV is traditional media, yeah.
yeah.
But I can imagine we don't watch TV as much.
yeah.
Previously, we used to watch TV as much, but now it's YouTube. YouTube, you can stream anything,
Yes.
news. Then from news, you can watch something on any
And the
other.
good thing about that, like now the traditional TVs and radios,
Yes.
they have already accepted that we are now in the digital era.
Yes.
So they all now have news, online
You
news.
can stream.
Yeah, you can stream, and then you
Yes.
can stream live TV. And once, probably, even if it's not live TV, whatever it is that they show
Yes.
offline, they will still upload on their channels.
It's true.
Yeah, yeah.
And it is helping us because
It is. We love
I,
it.
I don't know how TV usually goes, but what I know I'm getting on YouTube, I'll now
Yeah.
see Citizen Live. So I'm
Yeah.
watching the news, or I'm
Yeah.
watching from any other CNN
Yes.
or CNBC and all this.
Exactly.
So for I hope this is my last question because I keep on coming up with questions. But what is the key to successful PR in the digital age?
I would look at it from a point of being dynamic and
Yes.
highly adaptable, because this is not even it. I
Yeah.
believe in future it'll change even more. We are now talking of, we've just come from content in terms of write-ups.
Yes.
We are now trending on video. Everything right now is video.
Yeah.
I don't know what's coming next, but something is going to come. So if you're a PR professional in this age, you have to be very adaptable,
Yes.
dynamic, and be able to embrace the digital tools
Yeah.
as they come. Analyze, read about them, see what works for the brands that you handle, and advise the clients to avoid wasting money on things that could not
Yes.
be working for their target audience. So adaptability is very key right now for PR professionals. Yeah.
And as you're talking, I don't know if I'm campaigning for a certain age group, but as you're talking, I just thought about adaptability.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get to a point you don't want to change anymore. The change becomes like it's moving way too fast for your pace.
Yeah.
So, do you think that having an intergenerational kind of working team kind of team, do you think that that will influence how people, not just one group, but you have a young person, you have an older person, so the
Yeah.
older person's role is to tell us this is how you just control it, but the young person is not to move like any idea that comes
Yeah,
along, just
yeah.
move. So do you think that helps
I
organizations?
think it does help. That diversity
Yes.
is important, because you see now with the young generation, they're bringing on the new ways of doing things.
Yeah.
And we have the older generation that comes with the wisdom.
And especially
Yes, they come with the wisdom to guide
Yeah.
these young ones, because they sometimes I've discovered, especially with Gen Z, when
Yeah.
they move.
you can't stop
You
them,
can't stop
and
them,
you
eh?
can't even speak sense and say this is
yeah?
not the
Yeah.
wise
So
way.
we need to create a balance, so that
Yes.
the older ones know up to where they can reach,
Yeah.
and the young ones also know up to what level they can reach. But all in all, that diversity is important, because then it brings a whole intergenerational kind of setup.
Yes. And adaptability.
And
will also be able
adaptability,
to-
yeah. Although some old people really don't like to change,
They
but
really don't.
with this age, they
You
really,
have
they
to.
have to.
Yes.
It's either you change or you're wiped out.
And it's nice because I was even looking at some threads and I saw people commenting that an older coworker is asking me what this slang means. So it shows that people really want to learn.
Yeah.
And it's important because this life, one of my favorite sayings is like the only constant is change, no matter
Exactly,
where
yeah.
you go. Another pandemic, I don't know, it may come, then it
Yeah.
will bring another set of
Yeah,
changes,
exactly,
and we
yeah,
wouldn't
yeah.
be able to handle it. So thank you, Anne. But I want to know any last words, because I know in our audience we may have someone who is seriously wanting to get into an impact making space, but they don't know that PR can do that, or they
Yeah.
don't know any other way to enter. So how would you advise?
So my parting shot, I think, would be based on 2 points. The first one is, I had mentioned it. Don't wait until you feel that your brand is mature enough
Yeah.
for you to procure the services of PR professionals. When you're starting your business, when you're doing your budget, and this goes to the startups.
Yes.
Please make sure that you have a PR professional from the word go, because they're the ones that will create visibility for your brand. They're the ones that will build for you a reputation and get you the goodwill of the people,
Yeah.
enabling you to have their trust. And once they have their trust, then you're laughing all the way to the bank.
Yes.
The other point that I'd like to discuss as my parting shot is basically for clients to embrace change.
Yes.
And also the PR professionals to embrace change. Like we said, the industry is moving at an amazing speed. So stop convincing your clients that they need to be on the newspapers
Yeah.
when they don't need to be. When
Yes.
you know very well that they don't need
It
to be
won't
on the
be
news.
impactful. It
Exactly,
won't
yeah.
make
It
anything.
won't make any
Yeah.
impact.
Yes.
So please guide your clients on the right strategies, on the right channels to be on,
Yeah.
and basically on how things are moving, and the best tools, the best digital tools they can use to be out there and to spread their wings.
Yeah, and does
Yeah.
this mean that we have to also convince clients to shoot TikTok videos? I find
Exactly,
sometimes
yeah.
it's
And now that you've mentioned that, I think
yeah.
it's weird because convincing a CEO to shoot a TikTok,
Yes.
it could be hard. But if you can show them the numbers, come with a CEO who did
Yeah.
one and it works well for the
Yes.
brand, I think from that point of numbers, you will be able to convince them.
TikTok videos can be so humbling because you have to follow a trend, everyone is following it, but then
Yeah.
you also have to make
Authentic.
your you have to be authentic,
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
also have to make yourself like I can sell you this thing. Please come to my company. We offer this service.
Yeah.
But
So
yeah.
being authentic in this case is key. Don't just jump on a trend because
Yes.
everyone is doing it.
Exactly.
Be a bit
It
creative.
becomes annoying
Yeah, you can jump on the
sometimes.
trend, but be creative and authentic.
Yeah.
Don't do what everyone else is doing.
Yeah, you don't
Yeah.
have to post very
Yeah,
demure,
exactly.
very
Yeah, I
mindful.
know.
That's
Yeah.
why.
But just find for a creative way to jump onto that. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So thank you, Anne. There you have it. I've had so much fun. I hope you guys have had a lot of fun too. We can't wait for our next episode, but for this episode, in case you have any questions, just comment. You can like, you can share, you can subscribe. Anything that you feel like you can do to connect with us. We are happy to have you. As again, I'm your host, Elizabeth Siado, and see you next time.